So welcome to part 2 of the Woodshop renovation. We have already done quite a lot of work here, so if you haven't seen part 1 yet, make sure to go and do that first. So in this video, we're going to finish up the inner part of the shop, get the walls done, get them painted, then we'll move on to the ceiling. And then once that is done, we can start to do some more fun stuff.
I wanted the walls to have a mid-tone grey, so not too dark and not too light. I also wanted it to be a little bit brownish and not feel too cold. I basically wanted a warm grey. After looking a bit, I found a color called warm grey, and it was perfect. I don't have a spray gun, so I used a paint roller, but I wasn't too happy with the finish, so I tried to use a brush on the second coat, and it turned out better. Once the walls had dried, I could start working on the ceiling. I took down all the pipes for the dust collection and could start taking down the plywood. I had some questions in the previous video on whether or not it is necessary to have a vapor barrier, and that really depends. If you know there's going to be a large difference in the temperature inside versus outside of the building, then as a general rule you should have vapor barrier. Now, I live in Norway, it can get really cold in the winter and I plan on having my shop heated, so it would be a mistake not to have a vapor barrier here.
Good morning guys, the lights are back on. I installed some LED panels and we'll take a look at those later, but now we're moving on to section number 2 of the shop. So I'm going to get rid of everything on the walls and we can get started getting the plywood down. Also, this means the lights will be out for these clips, so I'm not going to have a whole lot of footage. I'm going to skip ahead pretty quickly to when the ceiling is done and the lights are back on. Now, I'm really lucky that I get to borrow this elevator thing from work, but if you're doing something similar and you don't have access to something like this, what you could do instead is to make a T out of some 2x4. So you have a long piece, then you have a shorter piece that goes across. Maybe you make 2 of those, and you want to make them like in total maybe 2 centimeters longer than the distance from the floor to the ceiling. Then you can sort of jam those in, and that will make sure that the plywood stays in place until you have all the screws out or all the screws in. Okay, so we are ready to install some more lights in this part of the shop. I've already installed a
couple here. So what I went with is some LED panels. So I bought these. This is what they look like, and the main reason why I bought them was that they were on a discount, but they also had the right Kelvin that I was looking for. These are 4000 Kelvins, and Kelvin is basically the color of the light. So the lower the Kelvin is, the more yellow or orange it will appear. The higher it is, the more white it will be. I went with 4000, which apparently is a pretty natural color. I've seen some YouTubers who are using 5000 or 5600 Kelvins, which probably works great. For me, that feels kind of like a hospital light. It feels a bit too white, so I went with 4000, and let's get these installed and see what they look like. So if you're new to this channel and you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing. And if you want to buy some woodworking plans or see a list of my recommended tools, you can go to rabaloni.com.
So the ceiling is done, the lights are up. I'm feeling great right now. I love the lights, I love the color. Everything just looks a whole lot better in the shop right now. The plywood looks better, the color looks even better. So I'm really happy. And you can see already that it's going to be a lot easier to make videos and have consistent light in the videos now. So that's great, and I can't wait to get the lights up in the end of the shop. So the next step now is to do the walls here. So we're going to do the exact same thing. Going to take down the plywood, put on vapor barrier, put the plywood back up again, and then we're going to paint. So the worst part is done, the ceiling. That was the part that I sort of dreaded the most, but that is done, so that feels really good. So let's get started with the walls.
These boards were laying outside for a few days, and unfortunately they got a bit wet. They had been drying indoors for some days, but before painting them I wanted to check the moisture level. So I used my Erickhill EWM02, and this is a very handy tool to have in your shop. So if you want to check this out, there's a link in the description.
Now for the final wall, I decided to do something a little bit controversial, and that is to cover up the window completely. There are a few reasons why I did this. Number one was because of the light. When you have a bigger window like this, it is really hard to get consistent light in the videos. Also, this was just a homemade window made of plexiglass, so there was basically no insulation, and also it was leaking water, so there was water inside of the shop and also water inside of the wall. Finally, I plan on moving the miter saw station over and having some cabinets right where the window is, so even though I'm going to miss the view, it was the right decision to cover it up. Okay, so now all of the walls are done and we're ready to get some paint on them. I'm gonna have a section behind me here that is going to be black. That's going to be like a background for a tool wall that I'm building, and also for the miter saw station and some cabinets. And then the rest of the walls are going to be gray. Okay, so the paint is dried and I'm really happy with the color. I think it turned out great. Now, by the way, these outlets will be black. Okay, don't worry about it. It will not look like this. But now we can start to put everything back into place. The miter saw stations, the miter saw station, the benches, the tools, machines, everything will get back into place. For now, I'm not sure entirely about the layout of the shop, so I'm just gonna have to start to put things in place, and we'll sort of nail down the layout later. But now it's going to be real nice to have some order in the shop again. So I cannot tell you guys how happy I am with the way that this looks so far. It really is turning out exactly how I wanted it. And this truly is what an ecstatic Norwegian guy looks like. So in the next video, we're gonna have the electrician come and finish up the electrical work, and we'll install the rest of the lights. We also have some exciting things that we'll be doing behind you guys right now, so stay tuned for that. And also make sure you check out my website baloni.com. You'll find woodworking plans, and you'll also find some recommended tools that also help support what I'm doing right now, renovating this shop and making these videos. I would not be able to do what I'm doing right now if it wasn't for you guys who are supporting my channel and buying my stuff from my website. So thank you so much to all of you who have done that. Also, thank you for watching this video. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.